What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
So you're going to get off the Diet Coke? The Coke
Zero? I got to get off the Diet Cokes, dude. Oh, you're going to say this for the podcast. I'm going to try to get off the Coke Zeros. I bought Diet Sprites, but I don't think I'm going to drink those for a few days. I'm going to try to just cut it out for a few days and see if my gut relaxes. I'm going to cut that and the smoothie out. I've been doing overnight oats. You ever fuck with that shit?
No, what's that?
You just get a mason jar. I get like 2 things of instant oatmeal, some almond milk. I throw some fruit and a banana in there and let it sit overnight so I have nice cold sweet oatmeal in the morning. It's good.
I was looking up some chia pudding recipes. But
really?
Like, put the chia seeds with you can put whatever else in there with water, and some of them have banana and berries and stuff like that.
The chia just makes you feel more full, right?
Yeah.
When you don't eat. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, welcome to Smoothie Talk. This is me and John. We're sponsored by NPR.
Welcome to Smoothie Talk.
Welcome to Fruit Talk.
In case you
two fruits talking about fruit.
Thought you turned the dial wrong or something like that. You were listening to the A is for Alcoholic podcast.
Yeah, we're still drunks. Yeah.
Still, we just talk about smoothies and chia and overnight oats.
Overnight Oats.
You should start a bluegrass band called Overnight Oats.
Yeah, we'll call overnight scroats, right? Mm-hmm. And then it'll be all ball jokes about balls.
Songs of banjos and balls.
Balls, yeah.
So I would like to start the program. I know we talk about our sponsors and
we should probably talk about our sponsors, yeah.
I do. Well, what I'd like to say is that for everybody who's listening, one of the biggest things, if you want to help the show in the biggest way, is to share it with somebody, is to rate or review us on the Apple Podcast app or wherever else you listen to podcasts. In all the research that I've done, that's the way that these algorithms, sort podcasts and get people to listen to them and get them when you look up something, and then this will pop up instead, or this is however many steps above the other podcasts are. So
right.
We have a small dedicated following of good, kind people, and I would just say that if you enjoy listening to us every single week and want to help get the message out to other people, go rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Trust us. We've done minutes of research. Comprehensive 15 minutes of research.
It's true. We have a YouTube channel for different ways to listen, and it would make me very happy if we could get another 5 subscribers to the channel.
Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Hey guys.
So
I'll
what
do
I've
some
done,
video game walkthroughs.
I would think do you want to do
sober
some
video game walkthroughs? If I could figure out how to do it, I would absolutely do some sober video game walkthroughs. I mean, it would just be me talking about recovery and shooting people in the face. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would like you to go through like your Fallout world maybe, and
right.
Talk about the different characters at the bar that you built. That one where you built like this lounge or this bar.
Oh, you're talking about Fallout 4 with the bar? Even when I was sober, I was building like really nice bars. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you could build like a recovery center, a rehab house or something like that.
Right, just full of ghouls. Yeah.
The halfway house.
Yeah.
Just ghouls trying to get better, man. They're just ghouls are just people on the road to recovery.
Yeah.
So yeah, the YouTube channel is great, and so what I'm going to start doing is releasing some of our episodes early on the YouTube channel. So if you can't wait until Friday to listen to us, or if I do another one of our conversations, that will be up there first before anything else. The patrons on Patreon will of course get all that stuff. They'll be the first ones to get it, and then I'll start pushing it out on YouTube just to kind of see if that. I don't know.
Yeah, and if ever one day we figure out how to do, video record these, since, we can figure that out somehow. Maybe we'll put one of those up too.
Yeah. So I think, that's what we're working with. Please go to see, listen to our other podcasts, Rashida and John. Gluten is not your problem. And for the love of God, go check out Green Camel Press. You will not be disappointed. There's lots of fun stuff on there.
Yeah.
Do you have any other
go to see like Jodeci?
Do you have any notes? Any other show notes or
no?
Do you have any announcements? Nothing.
No.
All right.
No. Not that I can think of. I don't know. I'm 3/4 of the way moved into this house.
Feels good. Starting to feel like
it feels
home.
pretty good. I mean, we're still living out of boxes, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, but I'm trying to like it.
You don't like the house? You don't like the boxes?
I love the house. The house has actually grown on me. Yeah, but the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found my paintbrush. I'm working on some art right now, and I haven't found my paintbrushes. I don't know where the fuck I put them. I've been wandering around in the garage like I have fucking dementia, like just in the same path in the garage. Where the fuck are my paintbrushes? But yeah, no, I got nothing. It's uninteresting right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're almost done. We're halfway through the year here, Jerry, which means a couple of things. It means we both have sober birthdays coming up. Yours is on the 4th of July.
4th of July, yeah. I'm
2014, and mine's on the 6th of July, 2015. Mm-hmm. And it also means that we're almost to the end of the alphabet. And this evening's, this morning's letter is Y, and I thought Y is for you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it.
Right.
Or in the immortal words of Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes, he says you can lead a horse to water, but faith is a different matter.
No?
No,
I like it. I was laughing at my own, like,
okay. My delivery was a little corny there, but the idea is that, and I was talking to our mutual skydiving friend this afternoon, and he was really excited about it. He's like 6 months sober, and he was talking to me about seeing resentments in other people that drink, or having resentments in other people that drink, and how to deal with that. Not just people who are drinking to excess, but people who can just drink. And he was saying this sober thing, he's 6 or 7 months sober now, 7 months sober, is so great. What a great way to live. What an awesome thing. Like, I just want to tell people, like, don't you see how you're doing it wrong? Or he was like, I just want to share with them that, like, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And the way that I explained to him, we were having another conversation before, and I said, Casey, it's kind of like, because this guy jumped out of airplanes. Like, he told me he jumped out of an airplane 20 times in one day.
God damn. Yeah.
So, talk about getting high, talking about rush. But I said, it's kind of like getting somebody to jump out of an airplane. You can't just push them out of an airplane because you tell them it's so awesome. Like, you still have to get them in the plane and get them to fly up there with you, and you have to get the gear on them, and you have to take them through the steps of the safety and what you do and rip cords and all that shit, So, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on sharing the message of recovery and sobriety with people in general, or having those discussions with people, let's say, like you might think need it. Do you ever Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and they were talking about another kind of shared acquaintance we had, and how this person has a problem with some stuff, and they were saying, well, this person has a problem, I think we should sit down and talk to them and try to help them solve their problem. And then I said, well, that's not going to help. They're already aware of their problem. They've already addressed it with me before in the past. They know what's going on. Like, I came from this. I told them, I was like, well, that if you would have sat me down when I was drinking and told me I was drinking too much, I would have agreed with you and then gotten fucking drunk, because then I was just another thing to drink over. I feel like it's one of those things where people have to figure those things out for themselves. But once they are willing to figure it out, because the process, the answer to the problem isn't figuring it out that you have a problem. It's now, what do you do while you're trying to solve your problem? That's I think where the message comes in for me, or sharing the message. Now in my personal life, I don't do it very often because it doesn't really come up. And also I feel like, my only social life is work. My wife and daughter have listened to me talk about my problem for years, so they don't give a fuck, and they don't drink. So, but, and I feel like at work, I have to be kind of reserved because I feel like they've heard me tell my story a billion times. We're in such close quarters with each other that I have to be conscientious. So I don't really bring it up as much as I used to unless it's brought up to me. This I feel like this right here, what we're doing, is more so me carrying the message. And my message has never been like, alcohol is evil, you should quit drinking because it's evil. My message has always been like, I had a fucking problem beyond the point of it being a problem, like, it was something bigger than that, and I stopped doing it, and I started working some type of schedule or regimen or maintenance, and it got better. And all I really ever wanted to express on this podcast was that it gets better. Like, if you keep working at it, you don't have to rely on that same old the route of behavior.
I like what you said about it's what you do while you're trying to figure out how to fix your life. I think, to paraphrase you. So it's like, how do I wake up in the morning and function, without having that morning drink? So I guess, well, one, I don't have it, and two, I probably drink a shitload of coffee and eat several donuts or whatever else. And and a lot of it is in the beginning. A lot of it for me was replacement. It was immediate replacement with whatever I could find, and that's totally acceptable for me now, because I couldn't eat the way that I did back then. I don't want to go into it. For those of you who've listened, go back, but I had some serious problems with sugar in all of its forms at the beginning, but it was replacement. So I would replace the high with coffee. I would replace the high with sugar. I would find one way or another. Lots of food was always helpful. Television, video games, and again, not that these things in and of themselves are bad, right? Not that I was just replacing one bad habit with another, but it was the way that I use them. It's our relationship with these things.
Well, yeah, it's like it's like a temporary pain reliever. It's like an ibuprofen for a pulled muscle. Like, you take ibuprofen every day, you're going to blow your fucking kidneys out, But if every time you have a sore muscle, you take it for a day or two, and then you allow your body to naturally heal from it, At least that's the way I looked at it. Was less of a cure and more of something to recuperate with,
Yeah. I just like that idea of having this daily sort of task list of how I get through the day. And again, we always one day at a time, but it just makes it simple and easy to go, okay, well, I'm going to go to work, and say I drive home and my favorite bar is over there on the way home. And so I'm not going to, maybe I take a different route home. Right. And just figuring out those little steps that keep me away from drinking, I think is another, I just like that idea of how do I function on my daily routine so as not to drink. Did you did you have a pink cloud period early on in sobriety
Yeah,
where
it
you
didn't
were like,
last long though, but yeah, I had it for a little while.
maybe explain too what we mean by pink cloud?
Well, some people get it and some don't. It's like some of the psychology of recovery. It's part of it in a way that you solve you stop drinking and then all of a sudden you feel really fucking good. And I don't know if I think it's a mix between physiological and psychological. And I'm not an expert. This is just me doing my minutes of research, but I feel like you just feel really fucking good and all is well with the world and like all is kind of ticking into place and right. And I think it's because you're not fucking poisoning yourself every day and you're coming out of a fog, and you know what I mean? You're coming out of that fog of feeling like shit all the time,
Yeah.
And if there's nothing majorly giant and pressing in that moment, well, then you're going to focus on the good parts of it, So
Yeah.
the pink cloud is kind of that. Some people last for years, They just feel all right and positive and very upbeat and very happy and like, why didn't I figure this out years ago? And it's a positive thing. I know in some circles they're like, they kind of laugh at the idea of it, but I'm like, let them have the fucking pink cloud. They've had nothing but black shit before that, Like, let them have the pink cloud. It's been like smog in Mexico City in their lives for years, or China or wherever. But yeah, I had it for a little while. I mean, I can't recall like exactly what it was. I felt better. I really felt like I was improving. I also felt like I was broken still too, though. Like I felt like I had broken both my legs and arms, and I was coming out of it.
Yeah. Yes, I do know. So when you first, let me ask you this way. So when you first got sober and you started to feel good about things, and you say you're still broken, so you're still obviously trying to repair yourself.
Yes.
But how come you never told me how good it was? Because I was still hammered.
Probably you were still calling me while I was in you probably put me in a bad mood when you called me.
So I want to ask about that year of
that first year?
our relationship, of our friendship. And I'm joking about why didn't you call me and tell me how good it was? I mean, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
But that year where you get sober and I'm still drinking, and because I don't really remember. I mean, the conversations, you remember them better than I do because I was drunk.
Yeah.
And I would call you up and say what?
Well, you'd say wild shit. You'd say wild drunk John shit. You'd start rhyming and doing that John shuck and jive rhyming shit that you did. But that first year was funny because like we didn't talk very much. We didn't talk for about a couple of years. Even when we were both drunk, I just was so fucking miserable and so trying to get my life together that everything was so unmanageable. And I lived in Arizona and you lived in California, and then when I first got to Oregon, I was just doing the guest spot, and so you were kind of in your own. We were on our own currents, So that first year, I don't remember. I remember and don't. Like, there's specifics I remember. But as far as you contacting me, we would only talk like once every few weeks. Like, you'd call me like every 4 weeks, usually on a Friday or Saturday. Or like if you had a Monday off, you'd call me on a Sunday. And you'd be a few in. We'd talk, and you'd be like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? And then I'd tell you, well, dude, I fucking quit drinking. That's how I did it. And then...
It's true. How'd you quit
Yeah.
drinking? Well, I quit drinking.
I just stopped, and then, well, what are you doing? And I'd tell you, well, I'd go to these 12-step meetings. Oh, that's a cult, and I went once, and I didn't like it. And I'm like, yeah, I imagine you wouldn't. I imagine you wouldn't like it. Like, yeah, dude, you showed up still drunk and, like, unhappy. Of course you wouldn't. I imagine you showing up sober and unhappy. You might not like it at first because you're feeling bad for yourself and you're feeling hurt and you're fucking bummed out and you're around, what are all these fucking people smiling for, But it was a lot of that. It was a lot of you asking me if you were an alcoholic, and I was like, fuck yeah, you're an alcoholic, but I'm not here to fucking diagnose you, But
Right,
in my
and-
mind, and then you'd say, oh, you're playing that AA Jedi mind trick on me, and I'm like,
remember
no,
saying
dude.
that.
I'm like, and then I told my dad you said that, and he laughed his ass off because the idea of AA, having this Jedi mind powers is hilarious to my old man. But yeah, man, I was like, I'm not here to tell you what you are, But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you're like one of my best friends, if not my best friend. Of course you're an alcoholic, because I'm a fucking alcoholic. I'm not going to hang around with people who aren't drinking like alcoholics, with the exception of like my wife, like, Yeah, and Megan's just a hostage in this bitch. Like, you just got pulled into my storm, so the rest of you motherfuckers, like, you all drank like I drank. Now, I can't diagnose you, though. I can't sit you down and tell you. And it's funny you're talking about the leading the horse to the water shit, right? Because of the idea of interventions, right? And this conversation I was having with my friend regarding our acquaintance, and they were like, we need to sit down with this person. And I was like, we absolutely do not. That's not our fucking job. Like, and I'm not going to be your ringmaster to, like, do you know what I mean? Like, well, I'm the expert. No, I'm not the expert. I just, I don't know, man. It's just, I always felt like the intervention could be helpful to some people, but I feel like mostly it's just more helpful for the people who are having the intervention than it is for the person who's being intervened on, you know?
Yeah. You know, I would suggest too, like when we would talk, because we're close, and I would be the one instigating the questions while I was drunk about getting sober. And saying
but,
like, oh, am I an alcoholic, Jerry? And you would say like, yeah, of course you're a fucking alcoholic. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't suggest anybody say that.
No, I was thinking it. I never told you it out loud.
I don't know if maybe you didn't tell me that.
No, I never was like flat out like, John, I'm diagnosing you as an alcoholic. You are not the father. You know, like I was not Maureen your ass. But I'm like, you know what I would tell you, like, you know what you are.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know. I don't know.
But you know
maybe
what you
you're
are.
just a heavy ass drinker. But in my mind, I'm like, I know what you are, and I'm not trying to keep it a secret from you. It's just, I'm not going to carry the weight of being the one who puts that in your mind. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you need to carry that weight. That's on you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, now that you say that, I remember those conversations, some of them where you're like, you know what you are, and that's for you to figure out. And the whole, like, me, oh man, that's just that AA Jedi mind trick
bullshit.
Don't get out of my head.
I'm gonna do a back bend.
So it's and I don't know that, like, the parts, there were certain things. The fact that you were, let me try to rephrase this correctly. The fact that you were sober was very important in me getting sober, because we were friends and because we were close-ish. And you're right, we didn't talk for a long time. We were just basically doing our own selfish things, being drunk. Exactly. But I never, the moment where my moment of clarity, you know, my epiphany of like, this is enough's enough. You didn't cross my mind during that time.
No, it's not like I was like a specter in the room, like fucking Ebenezer Scrooge's ghost.
No, you were not
like,
Jacob Marley. Like,
yeah, that's the word. Like, I'm just like, John, stop. Throw that bottle of Tito's in the garbage.
See the fucking ghost of Rumpelman's past.
Exactly. It's just me, fat and pissed off with the fucking bottle rocket. Yeah.
But you were the first one that I think I called, and I don't remember. It was you and another friend of mine, and I think he was the one. And I don't remember what you know. I think you would have been more hands off, like you said, but he was the one who was finally like, just go, just fucking go, like just fucking go.
I also think it might have had to do with the amount of time between me and your other friend who had sober, because I had no fucking idea, man. I was like
12 months, yeah.
I mean, you were calling me at like, about less. I had less than a year when you were calling me, because we got, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I must have had like, well, you got sober a year after. So yeah, I mean, you were calling me before. Yeah. But you were calling me months before you decided to get sober. And so I would have had like 10 months, 9 months. Like, I fucking didn't know anything. Dude, I was so scared. I had no idea what I was doing. And then you were calling me and I was like, dude, I don't even want to tell you the wrong thing and make it worse for you, because I don't know. I still don't know, you know. I still have I don't. I only know what's working for me, you know.
Yeah, and that's all I'm asking about.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think has worked for me is this idea of, when asked, say yes. When it comes to something in sobriety, in recovery, when somebody reaches out and needs something, whether it's, recovery related or sobriety related or not, just to say yes to these things. But more so, if somebody calls me and I know that they're somebody in the program that I need to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the single most effective way for me to be of service, is to just be available when
Right.
those things when those things when they come across my desk.
Service is such a weird word, man. Like I love the idea of helping, and service to me has always been one of those words that kind of turns me off. It really
Why?
does, because it feels like a chore. Like, oh, this is an obligation. But I think it's just the framework of the word service. Do you know what I mean? Because when I think of helping someone or giving someone my perspective, or even being like, come to this meeting with me, or you know what I mean, like giving them literature, or even anything, any type of anything, as far as my experience is concerned, it always makes me feel good. I always feel worried and good. I always feel like, don't fuck this up, don't fuck this person up, but also like, dang, you might have helped this person. Or when someone hits me up later and they're like, yo, I've been sober for like however long, a week, that always makes me feel really good. So I know I'm being of service, I know I'm being in service, but the word service itself has like this weird knee-jerk reaction to me. It always has. I remember going to like business meetings for this 12-step, and they would talk about service, and I'd be like, fuck, you know. Or I remember going to another meeting, and the speaker was a dude who was part of the whole administrative part of this 12-step, and all he talked about was service, and I felt like I was in high school. Like, I was like, fuck, you're killing me inside, you know, like. But I've also, I agree with you though, in regards to helping others. You know what I mean? Even if you're doing it just to be selfish, you're still helping, right? So what's altruism? I guess, you know, like, what is altruism? I guess that's a big philosophical question that this podcast isn't meant for. But.
Well, altruism is doing something without expecting something in return.
Word.
So I guess that's the difference between altruism and doing that thing, because it makes me feel good to help people. And if it makes you feel good to help people, Jerry, then you should do it, and it shouldn't matter.
Right, and it does. I'm just saying the word itself, service, I guess, is the framework of the actual term. Like, if there a different word for it, like they were like helping out, like busting a god nut or something. I don't know, like, some type of framework. But that being said, it's all semantics. Like, I'm just getting caught up on the word itself,
right?
Because to actually go out and do service, you know, I would be more than happy to help people out,
So,
and I always have been. People hit me up on social media, and I give them my 2 cents. I give them my perspective. I send them, you know, I'm like, this is what worked for me. Here's the resources I use, and here's a schedule to those resources. Come by the tattoo shop. You want to shoot the shit? I'll shoot the shit with you. You know, like, yeah.
And so it's funny, because wasn't there another word that you had issue with that you got over in this?
What was that?
The God word, the G word.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it takes time, right?
Yeah,
so this
and
is
it
just
just
my
takes
perspective
time.
now. It's all growth. It's all, you either grow forwards or backwards, you know. So right now, instead of being ingrown, I'm outgrown. You know,
Yes, don't be.
that's
ingrown.
gross. Don't be ingrown.
I feel like if I just use that principle of service, like when asked, say yes,
Right.
then I don't feel, because I too would get resentments over, it's a fucking chore. I got to do this, or I don't want to do this, man. I'm tired, or I'm sad, or I just want to be left alone, or I don't want to deal with people.
Yeah.
And you know, I know that I feel better when my relationships to other people are in some kind of service rather than to be served.
Right.
I am not a king. I am not, I'm not looking for what can I get from that person. And every time that I feel that way, every time that I think that way, it inevitably ends up, I don't get what I want.
Right.
I don't get what I want. When I say yes to the service that's put before me, I inevitably feel better. I'm not concerned about what I can get from somebody. I am simply, and service doesn't have to be, how it was explained to me is that it doesn't have to be recovery related. It doesn't have to be sobriety related. It doesn't have to be whatever program that you run related. If you want to help your neighbor move some bricks for the wall, or things like that. And those little things get put into people's heads, and they remember that. They remember that action. And then somewhere down the line, when there's some issue or some problem that you have, and people go, hey, I really appreciate that thing you did that one time. I'd be happy to help. What do you need?
Right.
So,
and I think even the idea now at this point is, if you go outside even within recovery, but going outside of the brackets of recovery, it's like connectedness, you know? Yeah, like, aren't we all want connection? Even the fucking craziest neckbeard in his bedroom with his Japanese body pillow and his weird fucking internet trolling and video games and shit, like, they just want to be connected, you know?
Yeah.
In some way or another, even if it's within their like trolling and anger, they're trying to find connection.
There was something.
And I just wanted to say neckbeard and Japanese body pillow.
Well, you're painting a picture. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
There's something that stuck with me a long time ago. A girl I worked with at a bar in Seattle like 10 years ago, and I was having some issue with, I don't even remember who, but I was angry and I was frustrated at somebody, and it was somebody who had done me wrong, and I was just pissed off or something. I was bothered by what they were doing, and she said, "John, everyone is just trying to be happy," and I was like, "Oh," and I don't know that I picked up on that right away, but it always stuck with me. Like, so then I started to think about how people were trying to get happy, and more so how I would try to get happy, and how I went about it the wrong way all the time. You know, for years, for decades. Like, I was just trying to be happy. I was just trying to protect myself. I was just trying to feel good.
Right. It was the short-term version. But that's all you knew, though. That's all you knew.
That's all
That's
I knew.
all either of us knew, was the short-term version of it. You know?
Yeah. But I don't go out and I don't preach to anybody. I don't thump the word. I don't.
You're not like a milk crate and a big sign.
No, man. No, I don't really even. And it doesn't come up in mixed company too much. I mean, I know you've mentioned what?
No, I was saying your big temperance sign. I was just thinking of the lady with the little axe and shit. I was going off on a weird Walter tangent
just in
there
your
in my
in
brain.
your head.
Yes. It's having that weird Walter picture show where you go off on the tangent from like the turn of the Dust Bowl. You know? Anyway, go ahead.
No, and it doesn't feel good to be the guy who's like, well, you know, what you're doing is wrong. Or what is it? There's
yeah, dude.
There's a scene. Do you remember the movie Boogie Nights? A little bit. Okay, so there's one in the pool party scene. We just watched it last night, and Dirk Diggler does like a cannonball or a swan dive or something like that into the pool, and you know, he comes up and everybody's like clapping, excited to see him, and the John C. Reilly character, Reed Rothschild, says, he's like, and Dirk Diggler says to him, "Hey, how was that?" And Reed Rothschild says, "That was pretty good. Let me show you what you did wrong."
Oh.
And I was like, damn. So he gets up and he goes, I'm going to do a backflip. And he gets up on the board and he jumps and he lands smack right on his back. And it was just like he failed completely. But it was just that's pretty good. Let me show you what you did wrong.
Right. Well, you know.
And it just, that kind of approach has never worked for me.
No,
conversations.
No. I have to be honest though, in all transparency, there have been points in my recovery where I have come from a place of judgment, and I've probably done it out loud. I definitely have done it internally, you know, and I struggle. I don't struggle as much now, but there was a while there where I had to fight again. It's like a cramp in my leg, but it was in my brain going, well, you wouldn't feel like shit right now if you didn't fucking drink so much. You know, me thinking it in my head. You know, I used to say it out loud, and then I realized, like, I just sounded like a fucking asshole. This isn't my job to tell you that shit.
Like when somebody would come to work hungover.
Come in all hungover, be like, man, I got in this big old fucking fight with my girlfriend last night, and she's being a bitch, and I was all drunk, and then I'd be like, well, maybe don't get fucking drunk, stupid, you know, like, but I'd say it, and then later on be like, Jerry, that's not really right. You know, this person's already feeling like garbage. They're hungover and their girlfriend's mad at them or whatever, you know. And yeah, I have to be transparent. I've done that, you know. And now I do it not as much because I can feel myself, my brain starting to do it, and I just push against the cramp. Like I'm pushing against the way the muscle's cramping in my brain. I have to push against it. And hopefully one day I'll have learned enough tools that I just if it does occur, if it does come up, I just let it, like meditation, just let it pass me by. You know, like Alan Watts says, when you're meditating, you hear that voice, your internal monologue or whatever it is that's bothering you. He's like, acknowledge it and then just walk right past it, you know, internally. Because it's happening. You can't stop it from happening. So just be like, okay, that's just there. It's just part of what we're doing, and just walk right by it, you know. And so I have to do that with a lot of my judgmental thinking, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And how do you feel about people who... how do you feel about normal people who can drink regularly? I mean, I know that you've been to some parties.
I used to get mad at them,
Yeah.
but I don't anymore. I think they're kind of funny now. They're kind of cute. Is that fucked up? Like, they're kind of cute. Like, normal people, like, I'll go to, like, a party, like this end of the year teachers party, and a couple of them will get a little buzz. They won't get, like, hammered, but they'll drink, like, 3 IPAs and get a little buzz. And I think part of me thinks it's kind of adorable. I'm like, look at you, little guy. You know, like, wow, that's really cute. You're like, you'll get there.
I really do. That person's probably going to have 3 martinis and feel a little tipsy and go home and go to sleep.
And feel like kind of shitty tomorrow a little bit. Yeah, foggy. Like they took some NyQuil. But no, I don't resent people for drinking normally anymore. I used to. Yeah. Absolutely used to. Yeah, like I remember telling my old sponsor, I was like, oh, well, so-and-so gets to drink. How come I can't drink? And so it just pisses me off that so-and-so still gets to drink. And he like looked at me and laughed because I was talking about another alcoholic, and he said, that person doesn't get to drink. That person has to drink. You don't have to anymore. And it was like just like, once again, simple semantics, but it like really popped a bulb in my head. I was like, you're right. I don't have to. So what the fuck am I getting jealous for? You know? Yeah. Or like, I'd get on my wife and be like, oh, well, you have a pressure relief. You can come home, have a glass of wine, smoke a joint or whatever, and feel better. Or smoke a bowl. I can't do that, you know. And then I had to like really sit down and realize like I've already done all that. I've done enough. I'm done doing that because I'm, there's no pressure relief for me in that sense. Like I need to find an alternate coping mechanism, you know.
Maybe not a 6-pack of Coke Zeros.
I fucking dance, bro. I dance.
Yeah,
dance it out, dude. Yeah.
Maybe I'll dance it out tonight. I'm feeling pretty good.
Put on some Daft Punk, dude, and call your old lady, FaceTime with her, do the shoulder roll and
up
shit.
all night to get lucky.
Or Bruno Mars, dude.
Baby you, baby yeah, baby. I don't know, how does it go? Something like
I don't know.
You know what song I'm talking about, though,
yeah.
right? Yeah. There's some meme where they slap some dude's butt and then they make that. Anyhow, never mind. It's
the one I've seen is a guy slapping a lady in the face with his penis. So
Jesus, that's unfortunate.
I run in some pretty gritty circles.
So, I know that, and so speaking of resentments toward people who drink, and all of that, and everything that we're talking about, there's something we usually have a little powwow before we hit record on these podcasts. I think mostly just to kind of like check in, make sure everybody's okay, and what's going on.
Lubricate the vocal cords.
Exactly.
Exactly. Touch up.
And one thing I forgot to mention to you was that I quit my job.
Oh, you did?
I mean, I'm going to have to get another one. I'm not this is not.
For a second, I thought you said, well, I'm going to have to tell them. But I'm glad you told them before you told me. Yeah.
No, I came to this realization that I was working this job, and for those of you who don't know, I tend bar and I wait tables. And the restaurant business is not the most, well, it can be pretty toxic. And I was dealing with some servers who had some substance abuse issues, and there was a lot of things, and there were the constant nightly dealing with people who were drinking, and there was some other stuff too. But it wasn't any one specific issue. It wasn't that I didn't see eye to eye with things with my manager, or such and such server was too drunk this night, and I don't know, then whatever it was, or I didn't like the way that other people were doing things, or whatever it was. Right. And I just realized that like I can't change all of these things. I can't
can't.
I can't make this person stay sober. I can't make them do this thing the way that I think it's supposed to be right. I can't you know what I mean? I can't make these people who are coming in to have a good time behave the way I want them to. Like, it's never going to happen. And
but what can you change, though?
what can I change, right? And I was like, and I sat there and I was like, but I need a job. And I was like, yeah, but you need to be fucking happy too. I mean, this is, why should you dread all week long that you're going to go to work? You know, it'd be like, you know, I'd come in on the weekends or whatever, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I would fucking hate it. I would just be so miserable. And so I wrote up a letter. I said, I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you very much for the employment. I really appreciate it. And all those things were true. And I just straight up told my boss, I was like, I'm not happy here, man. And it's not any one thing. I just got to go. And I didn't want to get into it too much with him. I mean, I think also that those things breed resentment. And as we know, you and I as alcoholics, resentments lead us.
We're real good at it.
We're exactly, you know, and I just didn't want it to, and I didn't think that my resentments toward a job would lead me to drink. I feel like I run a pretty good program for myself in life, but I also didn't want to get stuck in some fucking job that made me hate myself and made me, you know. And I can't. I would feel like I'd have to put my shields up every single day and like be this positive force, and you know, I'd have to, you know, and I'd come in and somebody would be talking about how they fucking puked last night, and it's like, Jesus, so much puking, guys. And then like, maybe you shouldn't have DoorDash bring you $70 worth of Taco Bell to your house at 3:00 in the morning. Right.
DoorDash?
DoorDash
is dope.
DoorDash.
DoorDash. I thought you meant like they called their friend, yeah, yo, DoorDash, can you bring me some Mexi pizzas?
And so I was just like so fucking fed up with it. It was just like, and I just want to tell people to shut up.
Right.
And I can't do
And so
that.
you're building this resentment because you're watching other people make this same stupid mistake that you've made. And now you're like, dude, I've figured out the path. Like, I figured out a quicker route to fucking China than you have. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and you're still taking that same shitty route, you know, through, you know.
Yeah, I got the Silk Road.
And I can't just watch you.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got the Silk Road, and you're still going up over the Arctic fucking Circle on your boats and shit, dummy. Yeah.
So that's how I felt. And I was like, I just can't watch you. And I was like, okay. No, of course I still have to pay my rent and I still have to pay bills. And so I'm going to have to figure something out here.
Just really ramping it up at Green Camel Press this month.
Hey, you guys, can you buy a t-shirt, please?
One t-shirt, $300.
They're real soft.
Real soft.
But I was just like, I have to be happy because this is not going to work any other way. And
well, we had spoken about this before, about how you wanted to go back into you did not want to go back in the industry again, but you were going to try it one more time because it was a source of income. But you're like, well, you know, I'm not really happy doing what I was doing anyway, you know? Yeah. And so you just showed yourself once again. You're like, yeah, this isn't okay. I went back and it didn't really, I didn't feel fulfilled. I felt more frustrated than not. And it's just like, if you have the choice to be able to figure out what you can do to make money, I would say definitely exercise that choice than being stuck. Some people are just stuck, man. Some people just get stuck, you know.
I know. And I will probably, well, I don't want to say I'll probably have to do it again, but I've already talked to people who are like, hey, if you want a job, just let me know. So it's like, I don't know. I just decided I didn't want to deal with the resentments, and I certainly wasn't going to try, and I couldn't change people's lives.
Maybe you got to start making those mocktails, dude. Make the mocktails, do some sober catering.
Sober catering.
Yeah.
Sober catering in wine country.
Wow, yeah, you're right.
Might be
I didn't
tough.
think about that, yeah. Like
I mean, it might be one of a kind. I don't know. I mean, it would be cool. I mean, I think that there's some potential. I like some of these pop-up bars that kind of put together like it's, you know, a space for sober people to come together and kind of have a mixer, mingle and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. So
if any of you listeners have any suggestions, hit us up over there at A is for alcoholic at gmail.com. I don't know what our
All
email
I'm saying
address
is I am resourceful. I am sober. I come to work on time, and yeah, that's all.
And you
But,
need someone to put some siding up on your house. He's getting in
yes,
shape. He
I'll
can lift
figure
that
it
shit
out.
up. Do some house painting.
I'm building up that base tent for the summer.
Building up
So-
that base stand. He looks like he's got a nice mocha.
So yeah, you know what I mean? Like it was just
Yeah.
this. I had to choose between the resentment and not, and it's not anybody's fault there. Like, but because I can't change them, and I can't.
No, you can't. You can only change what's going on with you. And yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like when I want to talk, there's certain people I want to tell, like, hey man, you're going down a pretty destructive path. And there's really only like 3 ways this ends. And it's either you get sober, you die, or you go to jail.
Right.
But then I think they wouldn't hear that.
Yeah, they'd be like, suck an egg, Grandpa. Have a good time. We're going to do a bunch of Molly and go to a fucking whatever show.
And I think that's really heartbreaking, to
Yeah.
think about friends that I have, friends that we have, that we know are struggling. And, I was taught that the best way to look at it is this person is sick, right? I was
Yes.
sick. You were sick.
Yes.
And it's a fucked up sickness that really, it's not like you can't lift it from somebody. They have to lift it from themselves.
Ain't that the bitch? That's the bitch I think of all. I think that's one of the biggest bitches of all recovery or of all addiction. You know what I mean? Like, the choice is you always have to be, you can even be willing and still not do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to just lift it off yourself and then start doing that work. And I don't know, in the next 50 years, if they'll ever, 100 years in our lifetime, figure out a way chemically to change it or figure out the genetic factors in it or whether or not figure out the psychology of it. But it really is literally one of those things that, like, you need to fucking not just be willing, but actually take action to make it work, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think about it with like my journey of weight loss or getting healthy, and I don't hear nearly enough about the physical aspect of recovery, right? Because it's not just I got sober and I feel better, but nobody could tell me. I mean, I watched you lose 50 pounds in like what 9 months?
No, it was like a year, like 10 or 11 months. Yeah, about
10 or 11
a little less
months.
than a year.
Let's say even if we
let's
say
say
a
10
year.
months.
10 months.
Yeah.
I watched you lose 50 pounds in 10 months, maybe more. And it's still at that point, you would be like, I said, how you do it, man? And you'd say, well, I count my calories on this app and I've been doing this exercise and this, that, and the other. And I was like, man, that could never work for me. That could never work.
Even
for
though
me.
you had quit drinking a fifth of vodka every night. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that could never work for me, man. And then but you just sat there and you were this example to me. And because I would remember, and you put those pictures of you side by side. And that person that I remember that I used to party with was, bloated and fucking filled with taquitos and whiskey.
taquitos, dude, whiskey. It was
so-
bourbon and cokes, dude, and fucking, taquitos. Man.
Right, I ate a lot of those. I used to get the little rollers, or the 7-Eleven rollers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, woo, dude.
Child.
That was a fucking party right there, dude.
Yeah.
Just me, you, a parking garage, dude.
But yeah, so it's like, it wasn't until I made the decision to take some action that anything started to change.
I don't know, man. I wonder what it is. I wonder if it's just, well, I mean, I know it goes back to the cliche of sick and tired of being sick and tired, regardless of what it is in your life. If you're fucking sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's like up to you to make the change. But I also wonder if these major changes we both have made over the past year in our lives is because of our age. Because we're Generation X, we're hitting our mid 40s now. Like, well, you're still in your early 40s, but I always wonder. My wife looked at me last night and she's like, dude, we're getting old. Like, we're getting older, you know that, right? And I'm like, bitch, no, we're not. But in my mind, I was like, you're absolutely right, like. And I told her she was right, because, I mean, I'll be 44 this year.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a 44-year-old man, especially not a sober 44-year-old man who fucking walks and jogs and works out and shit. I never thought I'd be that man. So I wonder if it's my age and I'm just trying to prolong my mortality. I don't know. This is getting deeper than recovery, I guess, but
I think that's part of it. I think
yeah, right.
I think a couple of things. I think when I think about my wanting to lose weight is that I had something personally invested. It was personally painful enough to me to need to stop doing what I was doing, especially after I'd quit drinking for 3.5 years, excuse me. I knew better. I knew how these things worked. I knew how they worked on me. And I knew that the pain that I was suffering from was caused by me.
Right.
And it got to the point where, and we use this word all the time, but it was unfucking manageable.
I love that word though. It's one of my favorite words, man. Anyway, go ahead, carry on.
It was unmanageable, and it was to the point where I was, I don't want to say I was crying myself to sleep every night, but there were some nights where it was so sad and it hurt so much.
Right. And you're talking about physical pain.
I'm talking
just
about like
all
my
of
back,
it though. You're talking
my
about
back,
the
feet,
whole shit.
everything.
Yeah.
But it's all interconnected.
Right.
And so
Really is.
I think that was one piece of it, is that I had a personal investment in my health. Like my lower back was hurting all the time, like bad. Like I would have spasms, and it's like, well, how long are you going to carry that extra 60 pounds around your waist? That's what's doing it, John.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain level of that mortality of getting a little, now that I've got a little taste of what it feels like to feel good, and I can look in the mirror and I like who I see, I go, well, hang on a second. Like this just started. I want this to last a little bit longer. I'm really enjoying this, man.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, that's that, and that helps me make choices about what I eat or if I drink. And I think, I don't know if it was your dad or if it was Mark Maron, or I feel like one or the other, but there's this thing that happens, and I see this trend all the time. I see this pattern with a lot of our friends, several of our friends, but in your late 30s and to early 40s, your life just starts to implode when you drink the way that we drank, when you drink alcoholically. Yeah, right? When we did. And so I feel like my body was physically starting to shut down because of my age. And then my mind was starting to shut down because of my age. So I feel like there's all these different factors involved, that it's just, my constitution was as strong as it was. That's all it could handle. It was done. I was 38 years old and I had to quit drinking, you know? And then, because I wasn't concerned about my mortality then, I was as self-destructive as I could be.
Yeah, fuck our mortalities. I was like hoping to die in my sleep. I was just,
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I would hope for it all the time.
It was just a really dark period. And I think that also was that I had to be personally invested. Because if everything was quote unquote fine, then why do I need to change anything? If I'm paying my bills and I'm not bothering anybody, then let me just get fucked up and go crazy and be an asshole and, just leave me alone with my booze. And that was an acceptable, manageable way to live for a long time. Too long.
Yeah. Until it became unmanageable. That's why I love it. I love it because, I've had people, once again, talking about, leading a horse to water, and I've had people hit me up and say, I don't know if I don't know what I am. I worry about this or that or this, and I think I'm drinking too much. And I always ask them, can you manage your life right now with the way you're drinking? And do you feel like your life would be much easier to manage if you didn't drink? That's your big question. It's what you're doing right now. Is it manageable? Is it sustainable? Or is it all fucking disarray? Because there must be some disarray because you're hitting me up. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't seem that manageable right now, but you need to sit down and go, okay, if you can manage it one day out of the week and then the other 6 days are a shit show, well, then maybe you should really reassess your situation. That's why I love that manageable, because it's a really easily approachable word. Manageable. It's not like is your life fucking horrible? You're like, no, because for 3 hours out of the night, I feel great because I'm loaded. You know what I mean? Or for 20 minutes now at this point, I feel great, you know? But, you know, what about all the rest of it? You got to think about all that shit. Manageable. I love the word. Let's keep repeating it. That's how we'll close out. Is just me saying manageable 32 times in a row. Right? Yeah.
Well,
Monorail.
Monorail. Monaghanville, Shelbyville, Haberbrook.
It's like a mule with a spinning wheel.
Well, what would you say to somebody who was like, hey, man, I need to get sober?
Right.
What would you say to them?
Well, I mean, I for fear of breaking any traditions here, I would probably tell them that they can go to a meeting with me or by themselves and send them a schedule for meetings and say, you know, if you can make it down to the tattoo shop, you want to come talk to me, you can sit in the shop. If you feel uncomfortable sitting in the shop, we can go get a cup of coffee, you know. But I would definitely recommend
just talking,
being around other people, right? So like, hey, I want to quit drinking. I'm like, well, first of all, like, don't drink anymore. You know, that's your first one. And if you're to the point where like you are fucking shaking when you're not drinking and you're getting really sick, well, you need to go to the fucking to a hospital. Like, you got to seek medical attention, because that's the other bitch about alcohol, is that's one of those things where if you're in it deep enough, you'll fucking die from withdrawals. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll have seizures and shit. So, you know, that's where you determine. I mean, but you're asking me, that's why it took me so long to think, because I'm like, well, do I break the 11th tradition right now? Because I'm like, this is what worked for me. If you want to do it work for me, here's what I did.
Yeah, you know? And that's the thing, is these are the tools that I've learned as well as you, and that's all I can say. And you know, there are other ways to do this, and I've seen people who have done it.
This is what worked for me. This is why I make the world's worst drug counselor, or the worst alcohol counselor, because I'd be like, just go to a fucking meeting. You'll be all right, you know, which is awful. That's awful. There's got to be more to it than that, because some people require more than that, or some people require differently than that, you know? Yeah, so. But I mean, for me, that's my honest answer, you know? What would you do?
I think probably... I mean, I would ask them what's wrong. I mean, I guess I would ask them what has happened, what changed your perspective on drinking, what changed this time, like what, why did this time that you drank make you think you needed to stop versus the one before?
Right.
You know, and I would just ask them a question. And I find that, again, when I am dealing with people, I don't want to tell them what to do, but a lot of times if I ask them about it, they often have come to their own conclusions, right?
Yes. Well, it's funny you ask what was different about this time than the last time, and usually they'll tell you, well, I've been thinking about this for a long time.
Right.
Like with every time I get drunk, I think about this. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so like you're saying, they're coming to their own conclusions. Sometimes people will hit you up just to justify their own feelings. Do you know what? So they're not sitting alone with it. You know?
I think I would listen. I think I would listen more than I would say anything.
Well, yeah. And
I think that's the best. That's the best service, or that I can offer, is to just listen to people. So I think it's just important to be easy with people, and not, whether you feel great and amazing about, your sobriety, or still struggling with it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't give it to somebody who doesn't want it. And I think that's one of these quotes I saw, one of these Instagram quotes was, recovery is for those who want it, not those who need it. You know? And that's pretty fucking spot on. So
it really is, yeah. You call me, I'll be like, get your ass to a meeting. You call John, he'll listen. No, please call me. I will listen.
Jerry will.
Yeah.
He listened to me.
I will. I'm just fucking around.
I know. But he probably will tell you to get your ass to a meeting too. But
I probably will, but like, I don't go very much anymore either, so I'd be like a hypocrite. I'd be like, maybe we'll go together so I can get my shit together as well.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.